Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Is it time to reimagine your future? The right business skills may make a difference in your career. At Capella University, we offer a relevant education that's designed to focus on what you need to know in the business world. We'll teach professional skills to help you pursue your goals, like business management, strategic planning, and effective communication. And you can apply these skills right away. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Let's hang out. Let's hang out. And let's talk about what Lezin's about. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
This episode of Les Hang Out is sponsored by Bold Strokes Books, where LGBTQ characters are always the stars of their stories. For listeners of the show, through June 30th, Bold Strokes Books is offering 20% off any one ebook when you go to boldstrokesbooks.com and check out with the coupon code LESHANG in all capital letters. That's 20% off an ebook at boldstrokesbooks.com, coupon code LESHANG, LEZHANG.
Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Hang Out, the podcast that's perfectly splendid.
Perfectly.
Yes. Oh god, I'm sorry, I opened a can of worms already.
Do you want me to talk in my little Florida accent the whole time?
I was hoping you would.
Here we
From the
are.
West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
And from the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida Poppins. To those of you who have been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. And here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This Week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. And today is a very sad day. It's the final episode of season 4.
Our last one, our last hurrah for this season.
It's been a really great season, and we're going to miss all of you, but don't worry. We will be back for season 5 on September 6th. So set your calendars. We're coming back for you.
We won't be
worry.
gone so long. And we've got things to keep you busy in the meantime, starting with The Flame on June 2nd. That's right. We have been talking about it for so long. You know we're ready. We hope you're ready. It's happening. Are you ready, Ellie?
I was going to say I am ready, but then I was like, you're not ready. I keep saying I feel like I'm in Tech Week. Any of our musical theater people, like, I'm like, Tech Week, and it's a podcast. Like, I don't need to, like, there's no dress rehearsal. Like, it's done. It's ready to go. I just feel so like, oh my God, it's the show. It's happening.
It's happening. It's going to happen. So be ready for our first listening party. We're going to be doing weekly listening parties every week on Wednesdays. So you can join us on June 2nd at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can listen to the episode with us, and then we'll hang out a bit and chat about it. We're so excited for everyone to hear it. We're so excited to hear everybody's reactions and hear what everyone thinks. It's going to be a blast.
You're going to love it. We also have a very exciting announcement about The Flame. We have very recently joined the Broadway Podcast Network, which is a huge, huge deal. The Broadway Podcast Network is a huge podcasting network all about Broadway. They've produced many musical podcasts before, including Bleeding Love. They have Tony nominees everywhere, all over the place. They have all these big producers, and we're going to be a part of them. So pretty freaking cool. You could check us out anywhere. It doesn't change anything about where you can find the podcast, but hopefully it'll reach far more people now. So we're very excited about that.
We also have stuff coming up that's not related to The Flame. It's hard to imagine, but we've just been so busy. So also the same week, we have Porch Pride coming up on June 5th. In collaboration with Remo Pride, we have put together such an amazing event, and we want to give a huge shout out to Kristin, who is our production assistant, who has been spearheading this whole event. We have so much stuff going on. We have yoga, we have panels, we have a kids corner, we have a film screening room, we have meet and greets with some really incredible guests that you may or may not have heard of, like Maddie Phillips and Natasha Negavanlis and Nicole Stamp, and like so many just really cool
Vico
people.
Ortiz.
Vico Ortiz. Oh, Valerie Lohman, that you may know from, like The Flame and all of her other cool projects, like a BAFTA nomination. Just some really fun people that you're going to want to come hang out with. And then we have an after party with a DJ and a comedy show, and it's going to be bonkers fun. And we had so much fun at Porch Pride last year, and this year is going to be even bigger and better. So
you got to come. We're going to see you there.
You gotta come buy your tickets. We have needs-based options, but you should register so that we know, who's coming to meet and greets, all in that. So we want to see you there. We want to see your porches. We want to see your cosplays. It's going to be a crazy good time.
We are also doing Spirit Week again this year. We had such a blast last year. We cannot wait to do it again with you this year. We're going to be doing it the week after this week. So next Monday, which is June 7th, we will be starting our Spirit Week. We'll post it all over our socials. Do not worry. You will know what's happening. There's going to be a cosplay day. There's going to be a pajama day. There's going to be a dapper day. That was my favorite day last year because we saw how absolutely sexy all of our listeners are. Love you all. So we cannot wait to see all of those. You're going to use the hashtag LHO Spirit Week and post all your pictures, and we're going to love seeing them.
Amazing. We also have more events coming up. We are going to be hosting Pride Trivia, working with Aeronaut Brewing. That's coming up on June 24th. So we love a good trivia night, and you're not going to want to miss this one.
And to clarify, that is still virtual, so anyone can come. You don't have to live in the Boston area, even though we are doing it with Aeronaut Brewing Company that is based in Somerville. In the greater Les universe, we wanted to talk about Alex Dobkin, who passed away at 80 years old. Alex Dobkin formed the group Lavender Jane with the musician Kay Gardner, which was an all-woman team of musicians, engineers, even vinyl pressers in 1973. So I'm just like, this woman was amazing. I wish I was a part of that all-women sound engineer team, but it was the first album to ever be entirely produced by women, which is so cool. And so we just wanted to mention, because Alex lived such an amazing life, we just wanted to mention them.
An in memoriam is what we're looking for.
Yes. In
less sad news, I guess, we also want to talk about a couple, crazy things going on lately, like Tessa Thompson.
Oof.
Anybody else seeing that? The gals palling around?
I love it.
Listen, we are always here for a few different things. One, like consensual poly relationships that are like living their best lives. Here
True.
For it. Women like canoodling around on like balconies. Here for it. We're here for all of that. So yeah, live your best life, Tessa Thompson.
Yes.
Get it.
We also could not go this week without talking about Elliot Page in board shorts, just looking beautiful, living his best life. And we were just so happy to see him so happy and really showing up as this beautiful himbo.
Our himbo king. We love it.
So into it. That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee, and welcome to episode 20, our final episode of season 4, and our next installment of Lez-ssentials.
Lez-ssentials is a recurring segment on the show where we dive into classic lesbian movies or TV shows.
And as a reminder, we are also writing and producing original songs for all of our Lez-ssentials episodes now. So you will want to stick around to the end of the episode to hear our song. It's rude.
It will wreck you. So get ready for that. Because for this Lez-ssentials, we are talking about the beautifully haunting love story in the 2020 TV miniseries, The Haunting of Bly Manor.
So much haunting.
So much haunting. It's
hauntingly
hauntingly beautiful. It's hauntingly sad. It's hauntingly splendid.
Bly Manor, and we are joined by a special guest today. Some of you know her, some of you may not yet, because if you've come to any of our trivia events, you have definitely met Kristin. If you haven't, she's been the behind the scenes, making everything happen for us this season.
And she is our wonderful Let's Hang Out production assistant.
And so we are so pleased to welcome Kristin Murison to the podcast.
Hello. Yes, I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to feel all of the feels about Bly Manor again for the 400th time, because I feel them every day since I came out in October. No, I'm never really
I think the bigger question
prepared.
is, have you stopped feeling them ever since you first saw it?
Probably not, no. I don't think so. I don't think there's even one day where I haven't at least thought about Bly Manor or done something related to Bly Manor.
And that is why we asked Kristin to join us for this episode.
We have a Bly Manor expert here. I will say I was watching pretty much every single scene with Danny and Jamie today, and my friend Alexa, who just sneezed behind me. Hey, Lex. She called me to check in because she was picking me up. I'm at her apartment, and she's like, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey, Alexa." She's like, "Are you okay? What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "No, I was just watching some Bly Manor compilation videos. I'm not crying about anything in my real life, but it's so sad."
You're like, I'm just sad about fictional lesbians again.
When you watch the video of just their moments all together, somehow it hits almost harder just because you see it all at once. And every time I do that, I cry.
When I watched it first, I'm not really a big horror person. I do not like being scared. And so, they'd have a really nice moment, and I'd be like, "Oh!" And then I'd be scared right after. And so I feel like it's actually really nice to only talk about their moments. I'm like, is this a horror series? No, it's a love story, which...
It's not a ghost story, it's
Flora
a love story.
says at the end. It's not a ghost story, it's a love story. Yes. So let's talk our IMDb synopsis of Bly Manor. Let's dive in. I'm so excited.
Okay. I'm going to preface this with saying I have some problems with this.
We always
will. We always will. I know. I have some major ones, so I want to prepare people, okay? Here's our IMDb synopsis of Bly Manor. After an au pair's tragic death, Henry hires a young American nanny to care for his orphaned niece and nephew who reside at Bly Manor with the chef, Owen, groundskeeper, Jamie, and housekeeper, Mrs. Gross.
So let me guess what your biggest problem with this
Do
is.
you want to guess? Go ahead, Ellie. See if you can. Maybe get close to it.
Is it that the most active participant is Henry?
What in the fuck? What?
The whole story is told through Henry's perspective,
right?
He's barely there.
Given that we just did an episode on how every lesbian story somehow has to revolve around a man. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what white man wrote this IMDb synopsis, and how dare he?
Yes, and our synopses for this entire series will be a lot different. So, Kristin, I know this is not a Should Have Been Gay, but we're doing a Lez-ssentials on Bly Manor. We're barely going to talk about any of the ghosts, to be honest. Any of the scary stuff. We're just going to talk about our favorites, Danny and Jamie. So what's your synopsis for Bly Manor if it's only about Danny and Jamie?
Okay. So a young American goes to London to escape Compet, which is literally following her around everywhere she goes.
Yep.
And she meets a sexy gardener, and she realizes she can't stop herself from being a lesbian anymore because Jamie's just too sexy to resist. And so they kiss amongst some flowers, and then they decide to spend they just U-Haul immediately after that, kind of. And then they spend the entire rest of their lives together. It's beautiful. It's an amazing U-Haul love story.
It's a great U-Haul love story. That was a really great synopsis.
That's pretty much all that happened. I mean, that's what I saw.
I know, I was going to do our plot recap, but it's done. That's it.
we knocked it out of the park. We hit all the big
Two
points.
traumatized lesbians find each other in a manor home and decide to live life one day at a time together forever.
Two trauma-bonded lesbians built an entire life
Their trauma
based on
speaks
taking
to
care of
each
each other and their trauma.
Incredible.
Yes.
What's your new synopsis, Ellie, if you had to write one?
Oh my God. The thing is, I said this to Kristin and I didn't even write one down for myself. But after watching all the clips, I would
played
say
yourself.
A walk to remember for lesbians.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
Either A Walk to Remember or The Notebook for lesbians.
Okay.
I
was going to go with a different movie. So I was going to say, like, Imagine Me and You plus Ghosts plus Bury Your Gays.
Yeah.
Minus Heck.
Yeah.
Minus Heck. Except
Yeah.
I guess we sort of have a Heck. But.
Yeah, but I don't like him.
But
I like Heck.
Heck is nice.
True.
Heck is like a nice guy. And Edmund isn't really, I don't know. I don't like him.
No, Edmund is a quote, like in quotes, nice guy. Edmund is a guy who thinks he's entitled to a woman because he is
a man.
Nice. Quote unquote nice. And therefore he's
also,
not nice.
I'm just realizing now that I forgot to fill Kristin in. Since we obviously just hosted, some of you came to our trivia event on Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor. The night that I hosted, and Kristin and Ellie were not there, but I forgot to fill both of you in on the person who answered the question about Edmund's name by also putting in parentheses, Deadmond. And it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
I call
thing.
him Deadmond all the time.
Who needs
Goodbye,
Deadmond?
The fandom calls him Deadmond. That's like all anybody calls
Yes,
him
and
on
I
Twitter.
love
It's
it.
my favorite.
And I love that someone actually answered the question. They were like, here's his name, also
But
Deadmond.
also,
And I was
he's
like, yes. Correct. I wanted to award extra points. I wasn't able to, but in my heart I did.
Being homophobic killed him. So, I mean, I guess, like, score one for the gays.
Literally. Yeah, Deadmond.
Amazing.
Okay, so are we ready? I'll try to do a very...
Okay, do it.
I'll try
Walk
to do
us through a love story.
Yes.
Quick and dirty love story plot synopsis. So, our first scene, we start out with Jamie. She wakes. It's very important, the first season, because the first scene is the same as the last scene. So the first scene, Jamie wakes up. She's looking for Danny. She's looking in the water of her bathtub. She's looking in the sink. We have no clue why she's doing this, but if you've seen the show before, now we know why. Then we start with the wedding. Owen's making this whole speech. To truly love another person is to accept that the work of loving them is worth the pain of losing them.
No, stop it. I'm done already. I'm tapping out.
Owen, was way off base, way out of line with that quote. That quote came to fight,
An attack.
I've written down a lot of quotes
hurts.
because it's a lot. It hurts. So then we start with older Jamie.
a lot of quotes came to a fight.
Yes. Older Jamie's telling the story. It's a ghost story. It's not her story, even though it is your story. It's full of ghosts. Then we get the entire backstory with Danny and her fiance, but I sort of skipped through that, to be honest. When I was
We'll talk about it.
We
We'll
can talk about
It's
it,
fine.
but then we have all these flashbacks, right? So we're going back. So we have the flashback to when they first meet. Jamie walks in overalls.
That's it. Done.
That's
Scene.
the scene.
No. I'm going to say Jamie walks in overalls. Danny tracks her like a freaking, homing beacon of gay.
Yep.
That's how I would describe that scene.
She tracks her like a homing beacon of gay. You are correct. And we also know that the others, I wrote so many quotes because they're so good. The others in the room just assumed they'd already met, which, if the au pair was honest, was the way she felt when she met the woman. So literally, they meet and she feels like she's known her forever. Then we have...
Why, one might almost describe that as a twin flame, Ellie.
Oh my God, we know about twin flames from Elena. Done. Then we have the scene in the garden where Jamie is talking to Hannah, and she says, on a scale of 0 to American, how would you rate her? American, and also a bit too pretty. So this is, I feel like, the first moment that we're like,
a bit too pretty.
The au pair totally is into her, and now we're like, okay, well, she's clearly into her as well. Then we also have this is one of their biggest moments. Danny's really upset. She sees Flora in the glasses. She runs away crying, and Jamie comforts her.
They have this ease with each other. They have the immediate sparks with each other. It's so funny too, because it's like you look at some of these early scenes that apparently straight people like were surprised when they get together, and you're just like, how?
Wait, were they?
How? I don't know. Yes. I think they were.
I
think that
it
by
was
the time
so
they
obvious.
kiss, like there were people who were like, "Oh my god, they're kissing," and you're like, "How? How do you miss all of the setup? Like it's very obvious." But I think it's obvious in a way that reads very naturally to queer people. You know.
Yes.
But yes, you're the only person who can calm me down when I'm so worked up about my dead ex-fiance. It's like straight out of a fan fiction, honestly. Who am I kidding?
It is. So we have that beautiful moment. You know, she makes her laugh when she's crying, and she also is vulnerable with her. She's like, I cry too. Everything's okay. At this moment, I wrote in my notes, what are their signs? And I never figured it out. But I'm so curious. So...
Well, we can dedicate some discussion time to it. Okay?
Yeah, we'll have some discussion later about their signs. This is the first time she ever calls her Poppins. Thank God.
Ugh, stop it. Look, the flirty names for each other, like, come on. Keep it in your pants, ladies.
Exactly. Like, get it together. There's a whole scene now where it's sort of reversed, where Jamie starts freaking out and Danny is comforting her. And so you do have this reciprocal kind of relationship, like Kristin was talking about at the beginning. They both have trauma, and they're both good at taking care of each other in their trauma. Then there's the whole sleepover. You know what I'm talking about?
Wait, which the one in the by the bonfire episode, or which one?
No, it's before the bonfire. So they have a sleepover because Flora's like, let's have a sleepover.
Oh, yes.
Everyone stay over. And that's where we have the most beautiful conversation, right? The wrong kind of love can fuck you up. And then Jamie says, I know why so many people mix up love and possession. And Danny says, people do, don't they? Mix up love and possession. I don't think that should be possible. They're opposites, really, love and ownership. That quote gets me.
Hearing quotes like that now, like knowing everything about what's coming in their story, and like this whole thing about how like you can't own each other and you can't hold on to each other even when you so desperately want to, and it's just like, it is gutting. It's just gutting.
It is completely heart-wrenching. So we have that beautiful moment. And then we find out that Owen's mom died. We have that whole thing where they are leaving each other, and Danny says, I'm so glad you stayed. And Jamie says, I am too. There's so many tropes in this. We'll talk about it later. But we have a hand touch.
Yeah.
We have an eye linger.
Love it.
And we have a who the hell knew? And so we have this like gay ass woman who's like, oh, I didn't know this straight girl who I was into is actually into me too. Cool. So we have all that. Love it. Then we have the funeral. Jamie shows up. She's really looking hot. She's all cleaned up. Danny is surprised. She's having a rough time. She doesn't want to go to the funeral. She asks her to unzip her. She's like, oh, interesting, Poppins. And, you know, that's the whole thing.
Is that how the scene goes? Like,
yeah.
Can you do it with the accent?
She
says, blimey. Thank you, Kristin.
You're welcome. She walks in, she's like, blimey.
What else does she say there, Kristin, when she says, if I find out?
My favorite
do you know
thing
that
in the
quote?
world. My favorite thing she says. She says, if I find out you've not been relaxing, there'll be serious consequences. And then she like lingers as she closes the door, and she gives Danny like this look of like, whew, it's a lot. And Danny's just standing there like having a little gay meltdown. It's a lot.
The looks are a lot. The looks make, there's nothing gays love more than looks and handholds and pinky touches, and we got it all.
We got everything we wanted.
I would like to say that a little gay meltdown pretty much describes Danny at any moment in this entire show.
She's a little gay
literally
whirlwind.
gay panic.
She's gay panic personified.
She is.
The way she walks is gay panic culture. Like that. That's just who she is.
Just clenched fists, shoulders forward, head forward, just power walking her way around in a little gay meltdown as start to finish. It's
the entire
beautiful.
time. Yeah.
We feel so seen.
So much panic. Speaking about panic. So then we have the fire pit. Also great. Then they leave the fire pit and we have this whole... I just have to read the quotes. I'm sorry. They're so good.
Do it.
They're
Do
good.
it. Hit us.
The au pair was tired. She had been tired for so long. Without even knowing it, she took her own advice she had given to Miles. She'd chosen someone to keep close to her that she could feel tired around. She'd chosen someone who might help her burn away the shadows.
Stop it.
And I love,
it.
remind me to bring this up again later. This is the difference between like choosing to be with someone, right? There's like a choice element and that like ownership and possession of like, you are mine and now I'm holding on to you so tight you can't choose to leave, right? It's like there's this big...
Looking at you, Peter.
Yeah. Big choice
I think
element.
Danny also felt quite owned in the Edmund situation, and that's why she doesn't want to do it again. You know, she wouldn't do that to someone else.
Danny would never.
Danny couldn't. Danny would never.
Oh my God, don't. Speaking of quotes.
As
leave.
Kristin just melts off the couch right now is what's happening.
I'm gonna die. It's fine. Everybody can come back for me later.
Leave. And then our next scene, so they're tired together. They're in the greenhouse. And we have like the classic first date that gays all go on where they share their trauma.
Can I also mention that they also have these like flannel blankets that they bring with them into the
Yes.
greenhouse? Because that was like peak lesbianism too.
Okay.
It's like
I also want to take the opportunity to, just because I know we'll talk about it more, but while we talk about how like, oh my God, why do we still somehow have to center the man in our lesbian love stories? Have you seen the behind the scenes images of when they shoot this scene? And like
yes!
he literally just has to be like chilling
right on their shoulder.
Yeah, his little head is like right over Amelia Eve's shoulder, just being like, "Hey, girls."
Like they're kissing, and his head is just on Amelia's shoulder, like just right there, that close to them while they're It's the wildest behind the scenes photo.
I hate it.
Bad.
I hate it.
And it's so unnecessary. Why?
It's so unnecessary. Well, yeah, that's the most frustrating thing, right? Is like we have this like really nice kissing scene. And then it's completely ruined by this man.
We can't even have it. They won't even let us have this one moment.
It's so rude.
Not yet. We'll get more. It's
We
okay.
will
We'll
get more,
some more.
thank God.
It is like the last Edmund scene,
There
right?
will be
Like Deadman
other
kind of
nights.
goes away.
He literally does go away once she's like, I'm gay. She's like, bye.
She does like a little ritual too, like a little get rid of Edmund ritual, which is really cute and really gay.
So then, you know, we have this. Jamie leaves because she's like, Danny, clearly you don't want this because you're haunted by Compet, you know, whatever. But we have a really cute scene where Danny brings her coffee to apologize. So awkward, so cute. She brought her coffee. It's horrific coffee.
Also, this is how you know she's like a baby gay and she's kind of new to all this. Like, it's iced coffee.
Yeah,
Danny.
why would she
It's
bring
iced
regular coffee?
Wait,
what are you doing?
Is that a gay thing? Do gay people only drink iced coffee?
I only drink iced coffee.
I also only drink iced coffee, but I didn't know it was gay.
I don't even drink coffee, and I can tell you that it is gay culture
It's
to
gay
drink
culture to
only
drink
iced coffee.
Even in the winter. It's also a Boston thing. We drink, like, we'll have an iced coffee, like, in the snow.
Yes.
And everyone in Boston is gay. Therefore, science, it's a gay thing.
Okay, great. And the transitive property.
Yes.
Which is gay. Amazing. So we have this beautiful flirting scene where, you know, poppins, you flirt, that whole thing. That was British, that wasn't Scottish. Fuck.
So precious.
Get it
You
together.
got up at 6 a.m. just for this. No. What? Not for this? Totally not for this. Don't call me out. I'm trying so hard. Poor Danny.
It's so cute and sweet. And then she asks her out on a date. And she asks her out on a date.
She literally asks her to sleep with her. She
says, there's like this pub. It's in Bly. It's actually right underneath your apartment.
No big deal or anything.
Not that I looked it up. Maybe did some research.
Not for any
NBD.
reason.
It's so great.
I didn't suggest that pub specifically for any real reason, I swear.
Yes.
Hey, look, props to her, man. Props to Danny for that move, because, like...
I was impressed because this girl is, like, straight out of the compet closet, and she just ran straight ahead into it. She just, like, she ran gaily forward. She was like, I don't have time for this anymore. Like, I'm just gonna throw my whole self in and just dive into the lesbian pool.
I'm
like,
here
I don't
for
have
it.
time for waiting.
Here for it.
I was so into her energy.
She really does. She kills it. She kills it. And it pays off because, you know, Jamie comes back to the house later that night after they're dealing with all the craziness with Flora. We don't care what's happening in this haunted house.
It doesn't matter.
People are like, Flora who? What are you talking
Who's Flora? We don't
It's
care.
fine.
So Jamie shows back up in her leather jacket, first of all, and says maybe Poppins might fancy a little boredom, which is just so, they're so fucking cute. And then she takes her for the Moonflower little date. Kristin, do you want to tell us about the Moonflower date? I know this is one of your favorite things. You have a tattoo as well. Tell us about your tattoo.
I do. I did get the moonflowers tattooed onto me because it's just that amazing, and I'm just that gay for this that I had to have it with me forever. Yeah, so Jamie, who has been just really closed off and kind of like distant and doesn't really like to put herself out there and is like more cold, but like actually has a really big heart and just like doesn't want people to really see that because she's been hurt so much. She decides that she's finally going to just like throw it all out there, and she's going to give everything that she has of her story to Danny to just take it or leave it, because she figures, you know what, if I'm going to get hurt either way, if I at least tell her up front, then whatever happens from there, that's on her.
And she does the longest monologue I've ever heard in my life.
She does the longest monologue ever. I don't know how she even managed to do all of this, but I know people who have like memorized the whole monologue and done it. So like I know it is doable, but it's a lot. And she gives her entire life story. Like she takes her into the woods, and Danny thinks she's like gonna kill her because I mean she's just dragging her into the darkness. And then in that darkness, she shows her these beautiful white flowers that like only bloom for like 2 months a year. And all the buds only bloom one time and then they die. And she's like, it's a heck of a lot of work just for this. But then she goes into her story about like why it's worth it. Danny just sits there and like absorbs it all. And Jamie looks so like nervous and is kind of like like, you know, like has the little anxiety shakes like the entire time. And you can tell it's really hard for her to talk about. Like, especially the stuff with, like, prison and her parents and her time in the foster families. But she does it anyway, and I just think that that's so brave. And after that, like, Danny decides that even with all that, she's going to accept Jamie for all that means. And I just think that's so beautiful. And I think what's important about the Moonflower scene is that it kind of sets up everything that goes on after that, because they talk about mortality and how mortality is natural and how it's part of life and you have to accept it, and things are still worth doing even if they're temporary, and things that are beautiful are still beautiful and meaningful even if they don't last forever, and they're still worth going for even though you can't have them forever. And that's like literally what happens with them. So
I'm tapping out again. I'm out. I'm out.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I love she says too, sometimes someone like this moonflower might be worth the effort.
Just Jamie with her little heart in her hand saying, please love me. And you're like, okay.
Please love me. She's never been loved before. And like her whole life is just filled with sadness and people not accepting her and people bullying her and being mean to her.
Well,
and
listen,
using
I
her.
imagine that like the, Dyke March in Bly's probably like a pretty small affair. So Not a lot of options.
No, she was probably so surprised. Like, that little who knew, like, was probably even more, like, in her head. She probably went home that day and was like, holy shit, a lesbian in Bly. Like,
it's not just me. There's more of us out there. There are dozens of us.
I thought I was the only one.
Dozens.
And it's kind of great because her seeing, I think that, like, that is probably the first time anyone's ever recognized Dani for who she is. Like, Dani's never really gotten clocked. Or,
oh,
like,
hey, man, that
people
seamstress
don't
clocked her. What are you
see her
talking
as
about?
A lesbian. Okay, well, the seamstress did clock her. You're right. But, like, since she's been, like, out and, like, living her new lifestyle, that's, like, she hasn't, been seen before. So I think that was a big moment for her to be like, oh crap, other people are noticing. That means I should really start to deal with this.
Yep. And also, like, other people are noticing, and, like, this person that I find ridiculously attractive is noticing is sort of a big deal. There's so many great quotes in this whole thing. The best one, too, is that's where all its beauty lies in the mortality of the thing, like you were talking about, Kristin.
I like when they talk about how Dani can't control who lives and who dies, because Dani's, like, so haunted by her guilt. Like, she feels responsible for Edmund's death. And that's, like, a large part of why the Compet man is able to keep following her around, because she feels responsible for it, because she did one thing for herself and stopped being selfish for a whole 1 second of her 27 something years alive. And then, like, he died immediately. So it probably felt like she was being punished by the universe for, like, daring to, like, accept her sexuality, which is truly horrible.
Well, and especially in the time too, like the era that this is set in too, like the amount of just shame that was being hammered into you anyways, like
I know.
It was really horrible. So I just really liked that, because what Jamie said there really kind of absolved Dani of any responsibility in that situation, and of any of and gave her room to say, like, you don't need to feel guilty for this. Like, death just, it happens and you're not responsible.
And then she doesn't feel guilty for what happens next. She sleeps better than she's ever slept before, because she had good sex.
For the first time in her life.
It literally is like, the au pair could not remember the last time she slept this well, and she thought perhaps she never had. And I literally just have in my notes, lesbian sex will do that.
She does, though. She wakes up looking so satisfied, like, just so purely peaceful and happy, content, like 100% into herself, like vibing, really feeling it.
It's great. So we have...
She gets to feel like that for a whole, like, what, one day before it all goes down.
Yeah. I will say, I have to always comment on this on any film we see. There's not enough sex in Bly Manor.
There's not.
Why didn't they show it? I don't understand. They didn't show any of it. Like, we were missing that. That whole scene is just it just fades out.
It's the same shit black, we constantly get, which is, to be fair, I like it in Bly Manor, because I think the point of their relationship is that it is so, like, innocent and sex, pure. Yeah. However, it still could be innocent and pure, and you could have, like, a beautiful, like, sex scene between the two of them.
Yeah, I just thought it was strange that, like, because Hill House is by the same people, and Theo has sex. Like, there's sex scenes in that. And, like, obviously those are not the type of sex scenes that you'd be getting. I mean, that style that they went there isn't the same thing they'd be doing for Dani and Jamie, but I was surprised that there wasn't just at least, like, a little more something.
Do we see any sex scenes in the entire show?
Rebecca and Peter, I thought, maybe.
Do they have an actual sex scene, though, or do we just get, like, implied?
They were, like, weren't they, like, starting to maybe have sex, but then they got walked in on by Hannah that one time in that wing that they're not supposed to be in?
But yeah, so I feel like the fact that we don't really see other sex,
I don't think there's a lot of sex, even heterosexuals. I don't think there's a lot of sex in general.
Okay, however, like, you could have given it to us.
And I do like that they're not hyper-sexualized characters, because a lot of times lesbians are, like, over-sexualized. So in one respect, it's good. But, like, on the other hand, me as a whore is like, excuse me.
Also, me is just like, I want to see the scene. Come on.
really want to see it. I feel like I was
We were
robbed. Of
we were
that,
totally
but
robbed.
it's fine. It's fine because so many people have written
I feel like you're
I
just trying to delay this now, Ellie. Come on.
Yeah, so nothing else happens. That's the end. Okay, so we have they have their sex scene, and then there's the whole day that everything goes down. And so at night, Jamie's like, I'm gonna leave, and
which is the worst, dumbest thing she's ever done in her life.
I'm gonna leave, and Danny's like, well, you could come back tonight if you want. And she's like, I don't know, but there'll be nights. There'll be plenty of nights for us.
There will
which
be other
is,
nights.
to be fair, still true.
But still.
Sort of.
Yeah.
There aren't more nights where Danny's not possessed. She's possessed every single night after that.
Yeah. But their kiss is really nice in that hallway. It's beautiful.
The best one.
And she says, you
best
promise?
one.
And she says, I promise. And they have this little cute little promise. Then Danny becomes possessed. So that's...
Also, there's ghosts in this show. Did y'all know that?
So that sucks. Yeah, did you know that there were going to be ghosts?
Yeah, that's
so
when we
Danny
find out there's ghosts. We had no hint of ghosts until then, really?
No.
At all.
We've glossed... Well, we talked about Deadmond, but, we've kind of glossed over a lot. It's fine.
But, I don't think he's a ghost. He's just, a thing that she sees in her head. He's not really there.
Not like the other ghosts, no.
He's not a ghost. He's just, a mental thing.
Yeah, a mental ghost. But yeah, so she gets possessed. She takes the Lady of the Lake into herself. And then it's uphill and downhill from there, I would say.
It's a roller coaster of a final episode.
So
it's a whirlwind.
And I will say, when we do the discussion, a lot of articles have talked about how Jamie and Danny didn't get it's actually okay, yeah, great queer love story, but also they should have had more time together before she became possessed, rather than having it all be in one episode where we get.
And the thing is, they probably did have a lot more time together. We just didn't get to see it. It would have been nice if they'd shown us. There are times that they've said where they say things like, I told you about how I was engaged, right? Or my fiance. So they've spoken at other times. They have other moments together. They work together every freaking day. They just chose not to show us.
But it's okay. So we have this, and Danny becomes possessed, and she has this whole speech where she said, it's quiet, but it isn't peaceful. It's rage, blah, blah, blah. She's walking through a dense jungle. But then we have this beautiful moment where Jamie says, do you want company while you wait for your beast in the jungle? And so... And then we have the pinky touch. I told you we were going to have a pinky touch.
We stan a gay pinky touch always and forever.
Yes.
So cute. So
and
precious.
then, they decide they're going to leave together, take everything one day at a time. One day at a time is fine by me, as long as those days are spent with you, basically, right?
Yeah, it's, as long as those days are with you, Poppins, one day at a time is fine by me.
Stop it.
And days turn into months and a year. And then we get this Imagine Me and You scene, which is actually a very intentionally Imagine Me and You. In the flower shop, where she says, I'm in love with you, Poppins, and we have to be together forever. And then they kiss in the back. We don't even see that either. God damn it. I'm
We
getting
don't see
more
that
angry
now.
as I see this.
They kiss, and it's really pretty, but then they just run off screen.
Yeah, why don't we actually
I don't know.
Can we also recreate Imagine Me and You with the scene in the back where they're making out?
Where they are
on
the
the roses?
but maybe minus the part where they get stabbed in the back by the roses.
Yeah.
What do you think Jamie would sound like saying you're a wanker number 9? Quick question.
Honestly, hilarious. Do you want me to do it? No.
It would sound amazing.
Oh, yeah. Also, she gives her a moonflower.
She does, which means she's been cultivating that moonflower for months, in secret, waiting for it. She's been planning the perfect moment to say I love you for the first time.
It's so beautiful.
And she's been hiding this moonflower from Danny, which they live together. So where is she hiding it? They work in the same shop. Where is she growing this moonflower?
She's got secrets. Listen.
That's dedication.
She got some secrets.
That is dedication.
It's peak lesbianism at its finest.
It really is. And then time moves by pretty quickly. So now we're at 5 years. They're in domestic bliss, and there was peace, is what they say, until Danny sees the Lady of the Lake. But right past the Lady of the Lake, I don't care about the Lady of the Lake. Let's just talk about the top hat and overalls.
And the suspenders that Jamie has on in that scene, because
Jamie's gay outfit completely takes her out. So that's great.
And that outfit, like, brings Danny back. Like, she sees Jamie in that outfit, and she then sees her own reflection again. So, I mean, like, you can be so gay that you just knock the ghosts out of
That
people.
is the thing, right? Like,
A gay exorcism right there.
she should have had less. Like, the beautiful thing about it is that she should have had less time, but she had more time because of how gay she is. Like, literally. And then we have their marriage.
I really do think so. Yeah. Her love for Jamie, like, keeps her going.
Then we have the marriage proposal. So she gives her a clattering in the roots of a plant. Does anyone want to read? Do you want me to read the speech, or does someone want to read the speech?
Yeah, why don't you just read all the quotes to us and slowly destroy
I can say
us?
the speech. I don't even actually need it.
Do you have it memorized?
She walks in with
Go,
this
Kristin.
plant. Maybe. So she walks in with this plant, and Jamie's stirring the pot of sauce, and she's not very good at it. And apparently she's burned the sauce plenty of times in the past. They're many years in this kitchen. And she says, "What's that then?" And then Danny has the plant, and she says, "Found it on the street, wanted to save it." And then Jamie gets like the cutest little smile of like, I can't believe this woman is like loves me and is in my life. And she's like, all right, give it here then. And then she like steps away from the sauce. And Danny's
I'm just
like,
enjoying watching
stirring?
the perfect reenactment.
And she's like, want me to keep stirring? And she's like, and Jamie says like, yeah, see if you can salvage it. And so Danny's over there stirring, and she like keeps sneaking peeks at Jamie while she's like getting her hands into the plant, because she's like probably really nervous and also just like full of that Danny energy where she like just needs to keep going and moving at all seconds of the day. And so Jamie's digging through the plants, like the pot and the soil, and she finds the clatter ring, and she picks it up, and she's like real confused on her face. Her face is just like doesn't get it. And she turns around and she's like, Danny, why is that? And then Danny doesn't let her even like go with that. She just turns around immediately and was like, here's the thing. You're my best friend and the love of my life. And I don't know how much time we have left, but however much it is, I want to spend it with you. And I know we can't technically get married, but I also really don't care. We can wear the rings and we'll know. And that's enough for me, if it's enough for you. And Jamie starts sobbing and is like, I reckon that's enough for me. Yeah. And then they kiss and they say, I love you too. And they're like crying.
Also, you literally did not have that written down. You just did that off the top of your head.
I know, I didn't have it written down. To be fair, I did just watch it like maybe an hour ago, but like, yes, I do have it memorized.
Incredible.
And then it ends there and they get married and everything is happy forever and ever.
It's exact.
And then it ended.
It's exact.
Yeah, that's it. Bly Manor's over.
That's it. Okay, so we have the proposal. It's beautiful.
Roll credits.
I also love this. Well, yeah, we roll the credits.
So when Danny proposes, then they go to Paris to see Owen so that they can celebrate their engagement wedding thing. And so they announce it to him, and he's like, this is the best news. I'm so happy for you both. And they like toast to Hannah, which is like really sad. And they talk about how the kids don't remember Danny, even though she sacrificed everything for them. And that's fine, I guess. I'm not mad. And then and Danny's still seeing the lady, and she's all bummed out and stuff. And that's like when they get back from that, that's when she like finally tells Jamie that like she's been seeing the lady again. And that all happens prior to getting the civil union.
Then we get the civil union, and Jamie comes in with the civil union. She's been waiting in line all day, and there's water everywhere. And she goes, and Danny's just staring at herself in the bathtub or staring at the lady in the lake. And she says to her, I only see you. I don't see the lady in the lake. I only see you. And I'm like,
it's so sad because Danny
like,
can't see herself. She can't see herself at all.
I know. And she's just like, I'm so tired. I see you in front of me. I see you touching me. And I'm aware of that, but I don't feel it. And Jamie says, if you can't feel anything, I'll feel everything for the both of us.
The way that Danny's voice
like,
breaks and cracks and just falls apart when she says Jamie's name after she says that she's so tired and she like just doesn't know how long she can keep it up. Like the way that she says her name is just so heart-wrenching. Like it gets me every single time. Because she's just so broken by then.
Well, also too, it's like I feel like there's just so many layers to this of like loving someone who has a mental illness, like loving someone who has Alzheimer's too, where like they're like losing parts of themselves. That's why I said like it reminds me of The Notebook, where it's like that just like constant patience with your partner who like forgetting themselves and forgetting you, but you remember them, and you're like, I will love you enough for the both of us.
And she even goes on later and says like she won't have her memories, but she will live on in my memories. Like I will literally always remember this. And then it also like kind of ties into how Owen's mom, like when she dies from dementia. And I just thought it was interesting how at that time, you know, from the outside, Jamie was like, you know, put me out of my misery if I'm ever in a situation like that. I wouldn't want to have to live like that, losing little bits of yourself here like every single day. And then that's literally what happens. And instead of being like, put Danny out of her misery, she's like, absolutely not. You are going nowhere. And like,
I'll remember everything
real
stay with
me
us.
forever.
What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. She changes her tune real fast.
And then we do have to get to our worst part.
No.
Danny wakes up. She has her hands around Jamie's neck and she's like, I gotta go. I'm gonna hurt the person that I love the most. And so she said the au pair knew the moment had come and she could not risk the most important thing, her most important person, not for one more day.
Stop it.
I know.
They were out of days.
How dare you?
So Jamie showed. I know it's horrible. Also, what does she? Kristin, you did this as a trivia question. What does she write on the paper?
How dare you?
She writes, "I love you." I'm sorry, Ellie asked me, so I feel like I have to say it. She said, "I love you with every piece of me left," because literally the pieces of her that are left are the pieces that were strong enough to like combat the lady from literally killing Jamie and enough to get her to Bly.
Okay, remember that time you said you were going to do a quick plot recap,
left.
and now we've spent like 45 minutes just trudging through all of the feelings about this? Like, that's fun.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's hard. I'm trying my best. I'm so close.
Ellie's like, just a real quick recap. So what does the note say? Kristin, can you reenact the whole scene for us, please?
Please. If you wanted to listen to this, we're doing an entire reenactment.
Okay, well,
so
I
Jamie...
gotta go, so this was fun.
All right, so Jamie shows up to Bly Manor. She gets into the lake. She swims down. She sees Danny. She's trying to scream, "It's you, it's me, it's us," praying it could be her instead, but it's not. She can't do anything. The lady in the lake was Danny.
Stop it.
And Danny would never.
Stop it.
Because Danny knows the difference between love and possession, and she would never mix them up.
Exactly. It's so painful. And then we come all the way full circle. We're back at the wedding. We realize that this has been the gardener all along. Owen's there.
Yes.
Flora's the one who's getting married. Henry's there. And we come back all the way from the first scene to the last scene, all back again with her waiting for her love to come back to her.
But her love she's been there the entire time. She's right there, but they can't see her. She won't let Jamie see her, which is like very intentional, I think, on Danny's part. I do believe that if she thinks that if Jamie saw her, like that would be it. Jamie wouldn't do anything else. Like she wouldn't continue to live her life.
Yeah, she's been there the whole time.
But Jamie thinks that Danny forgot everything and forgot her and forgets their memories together and their life together. And I just think that's really sad that Jamie thinks that because, like, she's wrong, obviously, because Danny's standing right there.
She never forgot.
Danny would never.
Danny would never forget. All right, we're done with our plot recap.
Okay, we're gonna look. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/lezhangout today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp, HELP.com/lezhangout.
Let's hang out.
You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Let's give everyone a breather. We'll take a minute. We'll listen to some ads. We'll come back and we'll talk about it all some more. That'll be fun.
Here at Let's Hang Out, it is Pride Month 24/7. Don't you wish the warm feeling of Pride Month never ended? Bold Strokes Books is also on the same page. They have the queer books you're looking for to keep you feeling proud 12 months a year. Bold Strokes Books has the genres you love: romance, mystery, sci-fi, fantasy, and in the formats you want: ebooks, paperbacks, and audiobooks. Bold Strokes Books publishes quality, diverse, award-winning LGBTQ fiction where LGBTQ characters are always the stars of their stories. I just want to say I'm just so excited about Bold Strokes Books. I love content that is for us and by us, so thank you, Bold Strokes Books, for doing this. Visit the Bold Strokes Books web store to browse hundreds of titles and sign up for free newsletters to get all the scoop on daily bargains and events. And for listeners of the show, through June 30th, Bold Strokes Books is offering 20% off any one ebook when you go to boldstrokesbooks.com and check out with coupon code LEZHANG in all capital letters. That's 20% off an ebook at boldstrokesbooks.com, coupon code LEZHANG, LEZHANG. Don't you wish Pride Month would never end?
Let's hang out.
I feel like we should just start with, what do we like about the representation in Bly Manor? So, Kristin, why don't you start, since you are our resident Bly Manor expert?
So, one of the things I really liked about the representation is that the characters are older. I liked that Dani didn't, like, she knew kind of what was going on, but she didn't come to terms with her sexuality until a lot later. She struggled with comphet, like, right up to, like, almost the last possible second to get out of it. And you don't see that a lot. I see a lot of shows where the representation is like teenagers or like maybe college students, but like Dani has been a teacher for 9 years at that point. I just like that they're like basically they're in their late 20s, early 30s, and Dani's just now coming to terms with her sexuality, and then she like fully commits to it. Like, she's like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. She's been telling herself just to keep waiting, just keep putting it off. Like, you can do it. You can just keep going in this pattern. It's all it's what's expected of you. And she breaks out of that, which is very hard to do when you're so stuck in it, especially like she lives in the South, like she lives in a culture that just isn't accepting. It's the 80s. It's not a good time to be gay. Like, her timing couldn't be worse. So I just think that it's great that she decides to do that for herself and to get away, and that she allows herself to love Jamie, because that's a big struggle for her. Like, that isn't easy to do when you're in that spot. And I thought it was nice to see like a visual representation of comphet. I've never seen that before. Like, I don't think there's another example where like comphet actually follows someone around as like a little ghost.
It's also like it's not just having like a, embodiment of comphet. I also love that in a show where like I feel like a lot of straight people watch it and don't know what they're signing up for. I love having a representation of comphet that is like a literal horror. Like, here is a horrifying, scary ghost man, like clingy, weird, possessive, like glowy-eyed nightmare creature that represents like comphet, because it's like, yes,
it's how it actually feels, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, I actually don't think that I have ever seen such a really visceral embodiment of it that feels so right. It feels so right to be like, yes, here is this like unshakable, nagging specter of men.
True.
Of men and how you should be attracted to them, just looming over, breathing down your neck, like grabbing onto you physically. I mean, it's just, it's like...
And it only shows up every time she thinks about another woman, sees Jamie. Like, it doesn't come up unless she's doing something gay, basically.
I mean,
like,
that's not
she
true.
Has a gay thought,
he
and then
comes
it's
up
like,
other
bam.
times. Like, she sees him when the car drives by and stuff. There's some other triggers, but like...
Yeah, I mean, she sees him some other times, but it's a lot of it happens when she's having, like, a gay moment.
But it is cool like to be able to point to that in a way that, like, I feel like you could show straight people, like, the first few episodes until Deadman, like, disappears, and just be like, that's what it's like. Like, that's what Pet feels like. Is there is just this thing breathing over your shoulder all the time that you're constantly aware of and you can't get rid of until you decide to, like, step beyond it and say, like, it's okay. Until you make that decision, it is always there. It is following you around. It is eating at you. It is, like, worming its way around your brain, and it is always there being like, but also, like, but you're straight, right? Like, but you're still straight, though. But you're supposed to be straight. Yeah, it should be men. To do you know that, right? Like, you should be straight. You do know.
My favorite thing is that Danny's like, I thought I wanted it. I wanted to want it. Because that's, like, I've never related to something so much. Like, I've never seen it on TV. Like, I've never actually seen a representation that's, like, spoken to, like, my own experience in that way. Because, like, I've dealt with Pet for a large portion of my life. And it was just kind of amazing to see it like that. Because she just says it in just such clear words that it's just, like, that's exactly what it is. Like, you want to want it. You want to be, like, quote, normal or whatever everybody else seems to want you to be. You want to be what society wants you to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, you try your best for as many years as you can hack it, but eventually, you know.
Yeah.
Eventually you can't do it.
I love to, and this is, like, such a low bar, but that she chooses to get out of that relationship before she starts a relationship with a woman.
She doesn't
Surprise! I know we've talked about this many times, but it's like she chose, like, she was miserable in her relationship and she didn't cheat. She chose to leave, and obviously she still has the guilt of choosing to leave. Like,
Okay, but I'm gonna say, like, yes, and I agree, but also as one of the few times where we get to see someone, like, make that choice and then have it immediately get turned back around on them, like,
I know.
so horribly.
I know.
Yeah,
so
I know.
traumatically. And I'm just like,
I thought it was very traumatic. They made her coming out so traumatic. Like, she finally stood up for herself. She finally said, this is who I am and this is what I want. And then the person who's supposed to be her very best friend since she was a little kid and has been, like, literally asking her to marry him since they were 10 is like, F you, like, I hate you. How dare you do this to me? Like, as if it's even about him.
Yep.
And then, like, has the audacity to go get hit by a truck, like, in front of her while she's, like, right there.
How dare you,
out.
sir?
Like, come on, like, come on.
Yes.
Like, she just came out. She's so fragile right now. Like, she doesn't need that.
her face in that moment, I'm just like, it is, God, it is so gutting. So I'm with you, Ellie. I agree, but I do have to say, like, God, they did not really let her have a moment there.
well, and that is the thing too, where, like, I wouldn't be like, this is a shining example of perfect representation, because I disagree.
But also, like, she didn't cheat. So, I
True.
mean, there's
That's why I'm saying, like, it's a low bar. Like, I'm like, it's such a fucking low bar. Why?
the bar is on the ground.
Yeah. And too, like, this was written by a man, right? The entire show. There is still, I feel like men are present a lot in
More
the
than they
narrative
need to
because like, it can be both good and bad of, like, okay, yeah, Pet is terrifying and horrific. However, like, he's still there, right? Like,
I wish they'd spent a little less episodes on it. Like,
Yes.
I wish that they had done it, but that maybe it had gotten over sooner.
Mhm.
Like, if that part could have just been done sooner, that would have been
and that's what, like, a lot of the articles I was reading were like, they gave him so much time. Like, Edmund got so much time, got so much backstory, got so much stuff.
And, like, for what?
And, like, why? Yeah. Like,
who even cares about him?
We
Does
don't.
anyone actually care about him?
We don't.
Even the straights don't care about him, I don't think. I doubt it.
We don't.
The straights are too busy simping for Owen. Like, there's no way they care about Edmund.
They don't.
Well, and look, let's give Mike Flanagan credit, because I will say, like, yes, sure, a straight guy wrote this and Hill House, but I'm gonna say we need that, like, the TikTok audio of, like, bye wife energy. He's got bye wife energy, right? Like,
True.
I will say that, like, there are ways in which I will say we can and will nitpick certain things, but, like, it is a beautiful love story that centers these two women, right? Like, at its core, Bly Manor is a love story, and it's a love story about.
It's a lesbian
love story, and core. Like, I'm still here for that. Like, regardless of a lot of other things, and regardless of, like, whether people disagree about the ending or not, like, I'm still here for it. So
I agree. Let's talk about the ending. This is, like, a tricky thing to navigate because it is technically bury your gaze. However, we're in a horror story.
Is it though? Because here's the thing.
But is it?
Here's the thing. Bury your gaze as a trope is, instead of developing your characters or giving them real endings, you kill them off when you don't know what to do with them. And I will say, in terms of that trope, it is not that. It is not bury your gaze.
Isn't it also you kill your gaze when they're happy?
No.
I think it's that,
not usually.
Like, they have one moment, because it's like they have one moment of, like, pure happiness, and then they die.
Yeah, but that's like in those cases where, like, they literally have just had sex for the first time, and then
they
all
die.
of a sudden, oh look, they're dead.
Because that's what it is with, like, Tara, and isn't that what it's with Clexa?
Yes, and, like, that's what happened.
Well, no, it's just that they wrote them out that way. They were just like, your story ends here, you know, and, like. And did it need to happen? Because it's the same argument we've had with Tara and Willow before. Is, like, did Tara need to die to precipitate the events that you know happened? Like,
they could have done it a different way.
They could have, sure. But, like, can this story end a different way?
Yes.
I think the thing about this story is that it's based on, because it's based on the book, like, I think they just kind of followed the script, you know, like. In the book, like, the au pair, I'm pretty sure died. Like, she was always going to die. And the thing about it is, like, they were originally going to have a male actor be the gardener. So, like, they weren't really planning on, like, making anyone gay initially, I don't think. And then they threw that in. So, like, it's not like they went into this and were like, let's kill off a gay. That would be fun.
Yeah, and that's why I will give them the pass for killing her. I'll give them the pass on it, because
one thing that I think is very important about Danny's death is that Danny chose it. She had full agency at that moment. She said, I am not going to let them kill me. I'm not going to let the lady in the lake have her way. I'm not going to let her make me do these horrible things that I'm going to regret. I am going to go and take myself and deal with it when I know the time is ready. And Danny, like, got to have agency in that decision. And I think in every other example of bury your gaze, there's no agency. You're just shot. Like, you're dead now. True. Danny, like, actually had it. She knew the whole time what to expect, really, and she dealt with that, and but she also got 13 years of love and happiness and life, living as her truest self, and, like, having that life with Jamie. And then she said, this is the time. I can't wait any longer. I can't put Jamie at risk anymore. And I think it's very important that, again, a kind of, like, in the same concept of, like, possession taking away your agency. Like, she took a little bit of herself back from Violet in a way in order to make that decision and in order to be in charge of her own death.
And let's talk about Viola, because here's the other thing that I think you have to do with this show is you have to contrast. There's 3 couples, right? There's 3 couples in Bly Manor of note, really. We skipped over the stories for the other 2, so if you haven't seen the show, go watch it. Come back. We have Jamie and Danny. We have Hannah and Owen, and we have Rebecca and Peter, right? And there's so many interesting ways that the three couples contrast with each other. Because obviously there's this whole question of possession, right? Like, is it love? Is it possession? You have Rebecca and Peter who are just like toxic all around, just all bad. All bad, all toxic, all possession, all the time. Like, I need to possess you so badly that, like, I will literally kill you so that you can't leave me and have a life without me.
Extremely messed up.
Not the best, Peter. Not the best. Then you have Hannah and Owen, right? Which, like, also so pure, so loving, love them so much, and yet so unfulfilled. Like, so
doomed, really. From the
sad, just sad, right? Like, there's that contrast.
It's so sad that they never tell each other. They never, like, really get there. They act it and they feel it, but they don't really quite get there.
Don't. And then there's also the other comparison that I think is really interesting is once you bring in, right, because we talked about how Deadmond is a different kind of ghost in this show, right? Like, Deadmond's like the Comp Het Spectre ghost. The other ghosts are more real, literal things, like
literal ghosts that are tangible.
Yeah, that interact with you, that are real, that are like almost tangible in the space. And the other contrast that I think is interesting is you have three couples, one of them, two ghosts, one of them, one ghost, one of them, zero ghosts until the end where you get possessed by a ghost, right? And so there's also like this weird way that like this whole question of mortality and possession kind of factor into play, you know, where it's like you have these two ghosts who like just want to own each other. You have like this one ghost and one person where like one of them is still like Hannah in a lot of ways is still just holding on to Owen.
I think she's so tethered to Owen that's why she doesn't leave at first.
Which like
that's the only thing keeping her
which
there.
does kind of beg the question, like, isn't that a type of possession? Like, that she, until she is released, like, she is holding on to Owen and she is holding him there to her, you know? Which, like, I love their love story and I love that, like, their little coupling, but, like, that is possession, you know? And then you have, like, this just held aloft little beacon of like, look, it's love, and it's love that like even when this, you know, like fucking ghost gets in the way and is like, I will possess everything because I am Viola and I have been wronged, and you're just like, ugh, Jesus, like, let it go. But
get over it.
Get over
it. Several hundred years, Viola. Come on now.
You know what's so funny though? As someone with like a lot of Sicilian family who can like hold grudges like beyond death, like I feel represented in this show because I'm like,
you would still be mad like 300 years later.
Like that's my family. Like they'll literally like they will hate beyond death. Like that is how they roll in Sicily. I don't know, dude. So it's like
that's how they roll in Sicily.
It's like there it is, and she's just like, nope. Like that is not what this is, and I refuse to let it be that. And I don't know. I just think it's a really fascinating show, and I'm willing to give them the pass for like the story that they were telling and the comparisons that they are putting out there, and I like it. I like it.
I remembered another thing I wanted to say. I think that also another thing that Bly Manor does that I don't see a lot in mainstream representation, like shows that are really not just for us, but like made for the straights really, and made for just anyone, is that they made the narrator Jamie. So, like, the narrator and the person, the entire story, like, the lens you see the story through is a lesbian. And the main character that the person whose story she says she's telling is Danny's story. So, it's her. And then the main character, like, the narrator and the main character are both lesbians on this mainstream show that everybody can see. And I just think that's so awesome. Like, these, like, 30-something power couple boss lesbians with their little flower shop in Vermont, just like, it's just amazing.
And that's one of the big things that I love about it too, is like the domesticity of it, right? Because like we don't really get like just like a lesbian couple who's like comfortable
no
and happy.
if you take
like
out
comfortable
the
and happy,
like,
that's possible. What?
if you take out the ghosts, they would have no drama in their relationship. Their relationship's just like a normal, ordinary, married, domestic situation, you know? Like, they're just happy and in love. Like, they have their little flower shop, they have their little life together, and there's nothing.
That's so nice.
There's no drama, there's no cheating, there's no, like, other woman or anything. There's nothing
There's
going on.
no other man.
There's
no
no
other man
drama at all
randomly.
except for like all those fucking ghosts, man. Like, god damn it.
Yeah, like all those ghosts just had the audacity to be there and be possessing her. It's if they wasn't there, it'd just be a nice little lesbian. Well, I guess it would just be Imagine Me and You.
Well, except less drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too.
Because even Imagine Me and You has a lot of drama. Let's talk a little bit about the marry your gays. Because we do get a proposal.
Mm-hmm.
We do get a marriage.
I thought it was sweet that they did that because, like, all of us grew up during that time period where gay marriage wasn't a thing. And I remember how exciting it was when civil unions became legalized. And I remember, like, prior to civil unions existing as a thing. And so I just think it's really cool to see that represented because I know, like, a lot of the younger, like, the kids in the fandom, like, they weren't around really for that. So they've never really known entirely what that's like.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was nice to see, like, as a person who came out, like, well before gay marriage became legal and, like, just a couple of years after civil unions became a thing in a couple of states, I thought it was really nice to, like, see that on screen and see, like, how they were so committed to each other, like, even though they knew they, like, technically couldn't be in, like, all the ways that a heterosexual couple could.
Well, and because it's so real, like, that is a real piece of our history, you know? And it is funny. It's, like, it's funny to me to watch shows like this now and to realize, like, yeah, like my kids will grow up,
they'll think it's normal,
and
that
right,
you guys
and
could
like,
be married.
and we'll have to, like, you know, watch shows with stuff like this and be like, well, when your mom and I got married, like, it wasn't legal either. You know, it's like we're gonna be those, like, weird crotchety old people, like, back in my day, and yeah, it's nice.
Well, yeah,
they do a nice job.
Because a lot
with
of
it.
the younger people, they don't know. Like, I was, like, talking to some of the younger fandom members. I've talked to them before, and they either don't really know that much about, like, the 80s and the AIDS crisis. They don't really know, like, what implications that had for being a lesbian at that time and for how that would have impacted Dani and, like, maybe why it was so much harder for her struggling with Compet, maybe why it took her so much longer. They don't know that stuff. They don't really recognize it or realize exactly what it was like.
Yeah.
So I think it's nice when shows, you know, show parts of our history like that.
I agree. And also just, like, the fact that it is so, like, wholesome and sweet of, like, how the proposal happens of, like, I do not care. Like, literally, like, just me and you having these rings is enough for me.
What I think is great is that Dani went a large portion of her life caring so much about what society thought of her and, like, wanting to do everything that, like, was proper, that she was, like, expected and supposed to do. And when she makes that speech, she says, I don't care that we can't do this. Like, I don't care that society says no, essentially. Like, she has gotten to the point where she's so confident and so happy in her relationship with Jamie and so fulfilled that she can say, you know what? Screw that. I don't care about that. We have each other. That's enough for me. And I think that's so beautiful because that, like, she came all the way around on her journey with her sexuality.
It's so beautiful. Let's talk about the timeline as we're talking about marriage. Because it was, like, tricky to figure out, but I think I sort of figured it out from Googling some things. And I think you did as well, Kristin.
I think so.
So
I believe so.
Somebody online said they thought they were together for 13 years, or at least they got their civil union 13 years after they started dating. Because civil unions were legalized in Vermont in 2000.
In 2000.
And they started their relationship in 1987. So what else did you find about our timelines here?
So my thought was they got together in 1987, and Flora was 8 at the time. When we see them in the Owens restaurant celebrating that they're getting married and celebrating that Dani had proposed, Flora is 17. So, I mean, as far as I can tell, with math, that's 9 years, right? So they've been together 9 years when Danny proposes. I'm not real good at math because I'm gay, but it's been 9 years. And so they had like a good amount of time, like before Danny started really going downhill. And then 9 years in, she proposes, they go and celebrate it. And then that would be like around 1996, 97. And then they have a couple more years then before civil unions are a thing. And then they would get that in 2000. And then it's kind of iffy. Like, does she die that same year? It feels like she does.
It feels pretty quick from there.
I think she does.
Yeah. Although what I love about doing the timeline that way is that means that like we're supposed to pretend that Jamie looked like Amelia Eve for like 15 years and then like overnight like morphed into Carla Gugino. So like great.
Yeah, like she literally, it's only 7 years after she died.
Only 7 years. So somehow Jamie went from looking like Amelia Eve to looking like Carla Gugino in 7 years.
I feel like they tried. They put like a few gray streaks in her hair. Like in like when
Jamie
in the scenes where she's like by the tub. But I'm like, no, this is not right.
Jamie had started going gray, but like that's not the same as
changing your whole face.
I'm just throwing that out there because it makes me laugh. That's all.
It is. It's also like you literally couldn't have just
great.
They're not that much older.
They could have aged up Amelia Eve, but then we wouldn't have had Carla Gugino. And we love Carla Gugino, so like I like that she's there. I mean, she looks sexy as hell, but like she doesn't really look like Jamie,
no, but same thing for Owen, right? Like Owen looks like that for 15 years and then Owen suddenly is like this tiny old man at the wedding and you're like, okay.
So they see Owen in 1996 in the restaurant, right? And he looks like Owen. And then in 2007 he somehow looks like that. Like what?
Okay, so let's do an age thing. How old are they supposed to be in 2007? 50?
Well, yeah, maybe, right? Because if they're supposed to be, if we think they're all kind of 30s, maybe early 30s, late 20s, early 30s,
I think Danny was like, so I knew this because I had Danny's resume at one point and I had looked at it, but I can't like quite remember. But she said she was a teacher for 9 years. So she would have had to go to school, right? And then like become a teacher. So like say she's like 28 probably to be a teacher for 9 years if you like start at like 21. Like, that's the minimum that she could be.
She would have to be 31, like 30, if she was a teacher for 9 years.
Well, you could have done, like, a student teaching, like, some teaching program.
Yeah,
like,
minimum.
I'm saying, like,
there was as much education required back then either. Like, nowadays, you probably need, like, a freaking master's. But, like, back then, like, you didn't need as much education, I don't think, to become a teacher, so...
True.
Maybe. So, yeah, I'm going to say, I mean, at the absolute, like, low end, she could be, like, 28, 29, sure.
Okay, so then this is, like, 30 years later.
I know Jamie's mom left their family in 1967, and this is a random piece of information that I remember from the monologue. And so if she left in 1967, Jamie was apparently, like, around 8 when that happened because she was taking care of Mikey. And so if she was 8 in 1967, I like can't do math, so I don't actually know what that means, but there are
28
numbers.
in 1987, yeah. Everyone has turned off the podcast already. They're like, please stop doing numbers.
They don't care.
I've got all of this. But basically, it's been 20 years. They're 50. They're like 50-ish.
Yeah.
And I feel like they made them like, I don't know why they needed Carla Gugino's hair to be so gray. They were like, she's 75.
Oh, listen.
It's fine. It's fine.
Like,
okay, so that's our timeline. Really bottom line is, when we talk about representation, we do have a lesbian love story that lasts for 13 years, which is sort of the point of like the Moonflower stuff, right? Where we're like, oh, I wish they had more time. But that's actually a lot of time. And it's like what we're
beautiful because it's temporary. Like the beauty is in the mortality of it.
Exactly. The beauty is in the mortality of this actually pretty long relationship.
Yeah. I mean, because the truth is, like Jamie says in the diner, like, one day at a time is all anybody's got when you get down to it. Like, we all don't know. Like, sure, like maybe it's a little more pressing for Danny, but it's like that for people with all sorts of different illnesses and living with like mental illness, living with different chronic disabilities, and then even just illnesses that, you know, come out of nowhere, like cancer. Like there are things that just happen. You don't know how much time you have with someone. So honestly, like everyone has that same problem. Like it's very relatable, like regardless of whether you're possessed by a ghost or not. Like at some point, you know, your happiness is going, at some point you're going to die. And at some point when you're married, like one of you will die first. I mean, unless you're in the Notebook and you both somehow die at the same exact time.
And turn into birds.
And turn into birds. So like, since that didn't happen,
yes,
you know, I still think it's beautiful because 13 years where they truly were dedicated to each other. They loved each other and they continue to love each other even after Danny's gone. And I think that that's really beautiful.
I agree. It's a beautiful, beautiful lesbian love story. And that's why we had to do a Lez-ssentials on it.
And write a rude song about it.
Get ready.
It's so mean.
Are we ready for our Q&A?
You guys are going to sob.
I think we're ready.
Q and gay.
Okay, are you ready? Question 1.
Yes.
Are you more of a Jamie or a Danny?
I want so badly to be like Jamie, but I know that I'm more like Danny.
I mean, I think that's true for all of us.
No.
Ellie's like, look at my shirt right now. Look at me, I'm a Jamie.
Come on. I can pull off Poppins.
Look, I can't keep a plant alive, and I had so much compat. I just can't be as cool as Jamie. I just can't.
Alrighty, ready? Question number 2. What
Okay.
was the scariest moment in Bly Manor? A, the doll-faced boy. B, Peter's death. C, Viola grabs Danny. Or D, compulsory heterosexualty.
Oh, it's obviously compulsory heterosexuality. That thing's
Terrifying.
a nightmare. Friggin' nightmares. Nightmares for compulsory heterosexual. I can't even say it. It's so scary.
So true. Terrifying.
Right? It's
I'm going to
very
start telling my
terrifying.
kids ghost stories about it.
Night.
Question 3. What would be your Bly Manor job? A, cook. B, gardener. C, au pair. Or D, housekeeper?
I feel like I could see myself. I'm not very. I think I'm okay at cooking, but I don't think I would be the cook. I also can't keep plants alive, so I can't be the gardener, even though I desperately want to. And I worked in a flower shop for like 1 semester in college and like did flower arranging. But I still think probably au pair would be better.
Fair enough.
For me.
All right, question number 4. Who is the real bad guy in Bly Manor? A, Viola. B, Peter. C, Perdita. Or D, Mike Flanagan.
First of all, it's Mike Flanagan because he filmed that scene where where Jamie wakes up when Danny's leaving, and we don't get to see it. So
You're right.
it's Mike Flanagan.
First robbing us of that sex scene.
No, it's not a sex scene. It's where Danny we were robbed of that. But when Danny's leaving, like instead of leaving a note, she before leaving a note, there's supposed to be a scene where Jamie wakes up in the middle of the night and sees that Danny's trying to leave and like catches her and like stops her and they have this whole emotional discussion and then they like sob and hold each other and like it's a whole thing. And we missed it.
You know, we want that.
Give it to the
Lesbians
gays.
would prefer the sobbing more than the
I wanted
sex
that
scene.
feelings, you know? I didn't have enough feels already. I needed more.
But speaking of Ellie, question 5, our final question. Did Bly Manor need a sex scene? Yes or no?
Oh, God. You're really going to make me answer this. Look, the thing is, I'm going to say yes because I just want to see
There's
one.
no wrong answer in the Q and Gays,
But the
Kristin.
correct answer is yes.
It didn't technically need one. Does it need one? No. But, like, do we want one? Yes. And don't lie to me, people listening, because I know you wanted one,
We
too.
all wanted one.
We all wanted one. Remember, you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Twitter at LezHangoutPod. Kristin, thank you so much for hanging out with us and talking about Bly Manor.
Yes, thank you for having me. I am so excited about being here.
Where can our listeners find you on social media?
I am all over the place. You can find me at Princess Cocoa Puffs on Instagram or at _purple on Twitter. And those are the places where I am the most. Or you can find me just, behind the scenes at the Les Hangout.
Are there any projects coming up that you want to talk about?
Yes. Well, I've been working a lot behind the scenes on Les Hangout's Porch Pride 2021 that's coming up on June 5th. And we have a lot of exciting things that are going to be going on for that. Very, very excited to get more information out there about that soon and to see everyone, and so that we can have the loudest, proudest, gayest pride you've ever seen on your screens.
Yes, we will. Thank you so much, Kristin, for hanging out with us. You're the best.
Yay, I love you guys.
Let me hear you say, hip, 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 we're gay.
We love hearing from you and building community, so we want to shout out some of our favorite things each episode. And we want to shout out Emily Brewer, who messaged us on Instagram and said that they're a new listener binging all of our episodes. We love to hear when somebody's just going through our entire catalog. Hopefully you get to this episode, Emily. Hi. And they're also working on an illustration of Pelsa, which makes me really happy. Send it to us.
Incredible. We also want to shout out Natalia, who reached out on Instagram as well and wanted to send us a Lez-ssentials suggestion to cover The Handmaiden, which is definitely on our list, don't worry. So hopefully we will get to it maybe in season 5. Who knows? Who knows what awaits us on the other side of season 5?
And as always, we want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Jess Klaus,
Tanya Ferguson,
Jacqueline Rose Nishino,
Sarah and Julia,
Carrie Ann Lawrence,
Danny Gunlock Tamora,
Brittany Ray,
Alana Rosen,
Tara Gleason,
and Lizette Stye.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen,
Leah Henley,
Liz Shen,
and Evelyn Smith. We love all our patrons. Thank you so much. And if you're wanting to spend more time with us over the summer, the best way to do that is to join our Patreon and hang out with us on our Discord. We want to see you there. Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at LezHangoutPod.
You can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com.
Or check out our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, make sure that you subscribe. That way you'll get new episodes as soon as they go up, starting in September for season 5.
Also, make sure you subscribe to The Flame. Just look up The Flame, an original podcast musical, and you will find it on every podcasting app.
We also have a YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe there to get any new videos we put up. You can find it at youtube.com/lezhangoutpod.
If you want to support the podcast, the best thing to do is rate and review us. We love to read what you have to say.
You can find our Patreon at bit.ly/lezpatreon. And as we said, it's a great place to join our Discord, hang out, do some game nights. We have all sorts of good stuff, and it will help us make future seasons of the podcast.
If you want to support us making more musicals, which we really want to do, you can do that at bit.ly/theflamepatreon. We will have some fun behind the scenes content and some exclusive stuff just for our Flame patrons at bit.ly/theflamepatreon.
If you want to check out our merch, we will still have all of our designs available all through the hiatus. So if you miss us and you just need to wrap yourself in some Les Hangout designs, like a nice warm sweatshirt giving you a hug, that's okay. You can find them at bit.ly/LezShop.
That was so convincing. I'm going to get a sweatshirt. If you want to find us individually, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Ellie Brigida.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee. And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
This episode of Les Hangout is sponsored by Bold Strokes Books, where LGBTQ characters are always the stars of their stories. For listeners of the show, through June 30th, Bold Strokes Books is offering 20% off any one ebook when you go to boldstrokesbooks.com and check out with the coupon code LESHANG in all capital letters. That's 20% off an ebook at boldstrokesbooks.com, coupon code LESHANG, LEZHANG.
Let's hang out.
I was running, but he kept on coming. Wouldn't let me escape from the nightmare we'd made. And I saw him everywhere, a panic that I couldn't share with anyone but you. You held me close and chased the demons away. You helped me open up my heart and start to live the beauty in the temporary till I found you. The work of loving should be worth all the pain. And now I stay awake each day and wait to see your face again. If we took it one day, one breath, one heartbeat at a time, I'd love you always till death had washed away the lines, all the memories we were meant to be. But eventually all things die. It's you in the light, it's me I can't fight, it's us that I protect with my life. It's you by my side, it's me left behind, it's us that I'll remember for all time. If we took it one day, one breath, one heartbeat at a time, I'd love you always till death had washed away the lines, all the memories we were meant to be. But eventually,
Ladies and gentlemen.
What are you doing?
What do you mean?
Just keep it simple.
I'm making the promo.
Just keep it simple. Just say, hey, we're the Brav Bros. Two guys that talk about Bravo.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're the Brav Bros.
No.
Oh.
Dude, stop with the voice. Just keep it simple.
I've seen promos on TV, dude. This is how you get the fans engaged. This is how you get listeners. We're trying to get listeners here. If we just say, oh, we're two dudes that talk about Bravo, people are going to get tired of it already. We need some oomph.
All right, then fine. Let's try to do it with your voice.
Brav Bros.
Good job.